Welcome back to our channel. Today we delve into the captivating and tragic story of Claus von Bülow, a woman whose life embodied the pinnacle of wealth and elegance, but ended in mystery and heartbreak. Known for her beauty, grace, and lavish lifestyle, Sunny was the darling of high society. Yet behind the glittering facade of mansions and designer gowns lay a dark narrative of betrayal, scandal, and suspicion. From her fairy tale beginnings to her devastating coma and the courtroom drama that gripped the nation, Sunny's story remains one of the most compelling mysteries of our time. Join us as we uncover the shocking twists and unanswered questions surrounding the murder of Claus von Bülow. Claus von Bülow's childhood was nothing short of a fairy tale, a life that many could only dream of. Born Martha Sharp Crawford in 1932, her entry into the world was as unique as her life would later prove to be. She was born aboard a railway carriage traveling between White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, and New York. This unconventional beginning earned her the endearing nickname Choo Choo, a moniker that captured her whimsical and lively spirit. Sunny's lineage was a tapestry of privilege and power. Her father, George Crawford, was not just a businessman, but a titan of industry, founding Columbia Gas and Electric, and laying the foundation for generational wealth. On her maternal side, her grandfather, Robert Warmack, was a trailblazer in the shoe manufacturing industry, establishing the International Shoe Company. With such illustrious roots, it was no surprise that Sunny's life would be defined by extraordinary opportunities and immense fortune. Tragedy struck early in her life, however, when her father passed away in 1936, leaving 4-year-old Sunny an astonishing inheritance of $75 million. While this immense wealth set her apart from most children her age, it also defined much of her future, shaping not only her lifestyle but the expectations and scrutiny that came with it. Sunny's childhood unfolded in a world of unparalleled luxury. Her family's Fifth Avenue mansion in Manhattan was not just a home, but a symbol of opulence, where she lived surrounded by timeless elegance. She attended the exclusive Chapin School, known for educating the daughters of Manhattan's elite, further cementing her place among high society. Summers were a dreamlike retreat at the family's sprawling estate in Greenwich, Connecticut. Amid the grand old trees and idyllic surroundings, Sunny experienced a carefree existence that seemed untouched by the troubles of the world. As she grew older, Sunny's radiance and charm caught the public's attention. Her debutante ball was a spectacle, celebrated for its elegance and glamour. With her Grace Kelly-like beauty and dazzling presence, Sunny became one of Manhattan's most sought-after young women, earning her the title of one of the era's it girls. She moved effortlessly through the most exclusive social circles, embodying the allure and sophistication of 1950s high society. Sunny's early life set the stage for the extraordinary highs and devastating lows that would follow. It was a world of privilege and perfection on the surface, yet beneath the glittering facade, the seeds of future tragedy were quietly being sown. Her wealth and beauty would become both her greatest assets and her heaviest burdens, drawing her into a life that was as complex as it was captivating. Claus von Bülow's marriage to Prince Alfred von Auersperg was like a chapter from a romantic novel, grand, glamorous, but ultimately tragic. In 1957, Sunny, the epitome of American wealth and beauty, married Alfred, a charming but financially struggling Austrian aristocrat. The match seemed like a fairy tale, her vast inheritance merging with his storied European lineage. Yet beneath the glittering surface, cracks began to appear early in their union. Alfred, with his aristocratic title and adventurous spirit, was an intriguing figure. His love for big game safaris in Africa and the thrill of the hunt showcased his desire for excitement and escapism. But these expeditions were not just about wildlife. They also became a metaphor for his wandering heart. Alfred's infidelities, often with glamorous women and even Italian film stars, strained the bond between him and Sunny. The contrast between her steadfast devotion to family and his restless pursuit of adventure and conquest grew increasingly stark. Despite these challenges, their marriage produced 2 children, Princess Annie Laurie, affectionately called Ayla, born in 1958, and Prince Alexander, born a year later. Sunny embraced motherhood with grace, creating a warm and nurturing environment for her children, even as her marriage began to unravel. Her love for her children became a cornerstone of her life, a sharp contrast to the turbulent relationship she shared with Alfred. By 1964, after 7 tumultuous years, Sunny decided to end the marriage. Alfred's inability to remain faithful and his obsession with far-flung escapades proved too much for her to endure. The divorce was a decisive moment in Sunny's life, marking her transition from the fairy tale princess into a woman determined to reclaim her independence and protect her dignity. Tragically, Alfred's story didn't end with the divorce. Following their separation, he retreated deeper into his adventurous pursuits, often traveling to Africa. It was during this time that fate dealt him a cruel blow. A devastating car accident left him in a vegetative state, a haunting parallel to Sunny's later plight. He remained in this state until his death, a poignant reminder of how lives built on glamour and privilege can unravel in the most tragic ways. Sunny's marriage to Alfred was a paradox, filled with dazzling highs and painful lows. It was a union that embodied the allure of wealth and aristocracy, yet underscored the complexities of love, betrayal, and resilience. Yet Sunny's story was far from over. Sunny von Bülow's second marriage to Claus von Bülow in 1966 marked the beginning of yet another chapter filled with opulence, complexity, and eventual heartbreak. Claus, a Danish-born aristocrat, carried an air of sophistication and charm, but his past was tainted by controversy. His father, a known Nazi collaborator, cast a long shadow over Claus's reputation, though he sought to distance himself by adopting his maternal grandfather's surname. Despite this murky history, Claus possessed an undeniable allure that captivated Sunny, and their union seemed, at least on the surface, to be a perfect match. The von Bülows lived in extraordinary luxury, splitting their time between a sprawling Fifth Avenue apartment overlooking Central Park and a Georgian-style mansion in Newport, Rhode Island. Their homes were reflections of Sunny's immense wealth, adorned with antique furnishings and surrounded by lush landscapes. The Rhode Island estate, known as Clarendon Court, was a stunning testament to their high society lifestyle, offering breathtaking views of the Atlantic and serving as a gathering place for the elite. Sunny's life during this time appeared enviable. She remained a fixture in high society, gracing exclusive events in designer couture and making frequent appearances on lists of best-dressed women. Her love for fashion led her to the finest Parisian couture houses, where she indulged in the latest trends, further cementing her status as an icon of elegance. Her days were filled with leisure, shopping trips, and afternoons spent in the company of socialites, embodying the image of a life lived in effortless glamour. Behind closed doors, however, the marriage began to unravel. Claus, for all his outward devotion, was far from faithful. Among his many dalliances, the most notable was his affair with Alexandra Isles, a socialite and soap opera actress, best known for her role in Dark Shadows. Alexandra, ambitious and determined, demanded that Claus leave Sonny and marry her, presenting an ultimatum that would ultimately deepen the cracks in the von Bülow's relationship. Sonny's response to Claus's infidelity was complex. While she outwardly maintained her composure, the betrayal weighed heavily on her. She resented that her immense fortune, the very wealth that sustained Claus's lavish lifestyle, had enabled him to indulge in such indiscretions. This simmering resentment began to manifest in her behavior, leading her to turn to alcohol and prescription pills as a way of coping with the emotional strain. The von Bülow's marriage became a facade, a picture-perfect arrangement masking profound unhappiness. While Claus continued to enjoy the privileges of Sonny's wealth and social standing, Sonny herself found solace in the fleeting comforts of her extravagant surroundings. The tension between them grew palpable, setting the stage for the dramatic and tragic events that would later engulf their lives. This union, like her first marriage, showcased the stark contrast between the shimmering world of high society and the darker, more human struggles that lurked beneath. Sonny's marriage to Claus was not only a tale of glamour and privilege, but also one of betrayal, heartbreak, and the high cost of maintaining appearances in a world where image often overshadowed reality. Sonny von Bülow's seemingly charmed life began to unravel as her marriage to Claus descended into turmoil. What had once appeared to be a union of wealth and sophistication was now fractured by betrayal, resentment, and emotional isolation. Claus's highly publicized affair with Alexandra Isles, a socialite and actress, placed immense strain on their relationship. Iles's ultimatum, demanding Claus choose between his wife and his mistress, created a volatile triangle that further destabilized their already tenuous bond. Sonny, fully aware of her husband's infidelity, found herself trapped in a gilded cage. The humiliation of Claus's extramarital affair cut deeply, particularly because it was her immense fortune that allowed him to maintain his privileged lifestyle. The emotional pain and sense of betrayal drove Sonny to seek solace in alcohol and prescription pills, which quickly became a destructive escape from the realities of her crumbling marriage. By 1979, the couple's relationship was so strained that they had been sleeping in separate bedrooms for years. At Claus's insistence, they resumed sharing a room, but even this act of reconciliation was superficial at best. Sonny's willingness to combine their sleeping quarters reflected a desire to mend their relationship, but it did little to heal the emotional wounds inflicted by Claus's infidelity. Their shared space became a battleground for tense confrontations and bitter arguments, with each interaction further eroding the foundation of their marriage. Sonny's reliance on self-medication escalated as the pressures of her failing marriage mounted. Her days, once filled with glamorous outings and leisurely routines, now revolved around numbing her pain. Friends and family grew increasingly concerned about her erratic behavior and declining health. The once radiant socialite, whose presence had lit up high society gatherings, was now a shadow of her former self, caught in a downward spiral fueled by alcohol and barbiturates. Recognizing the severity of Sonny's condition, those close to her staged an intervention. It was a desperate attempt to save her from herself and to restore some semblance of stability to her life. While the intervention initially appeared to succeed, with Sonny reducing her drinking and attempting to regain control, the damage had already been done. Her physical and emotional health were in a precarious state, setting the stage for the life-altering events that would follow. This period of Sonny's life was a poignant reminder of how even the wealthiest and most glamorous lives are not immune to profound suffering. Her descent into substance abuse and the toxic dynamics of her marriage painted a stark contrast to the glittering image she once presented to the world. December 1979 marked the beginning of a tragic series of events that would define the rest of Sonny von Bülow's life. On Christmas night, Sonny and her son Alexander were enjoying a quiet evening at their Rhode Island mansion. The ambiance was warm and festive, the air filled with the scents of evergreen and cinnamon. Sonny sipped on homemade eggnog, a seemingly innocuous holiday tradition. Yet within moments, her behavior took a disturbing turn. Alexander, familiar with his mother's occasional indulgence in alcohol, immediately sensed something was wrong. Instead of her usual light-hearted demeanor, Sonny became disoriented, her speech slurring, and her movements unsteady. The concern grew palpable as her condition deteriorated rapidly. Claus, observing this alarming scene, offered to make her soup but otherwise displayed little urgency. When Sonny was eventually helped to her bedroom, the tension escalated behind closed doors as she berated Claus for his infidelity and their fractured marriage. The household staff, particularly the maid Maria, became increasingly alarmed. Maria's pleas to call a doctor went unheeded as Claus insisted Sonny was merely drunk and would recover with rest. Hours passed and Maria's worry turned to desperation. By the time a doctor was finally summoned, Sonny's condition had worsened significantly. Upon examination, Sonny was found to be in a life-threatening state. Her blood sugar levels had plummeted to dangerous lows, and alarmingly high levels of insulin were detected in her system. This discovery was baffling. Sonny had never been known to use insulin. While medical intervention stabilized her condition, the episode raised unsettling questions. Was this a tragic accident, or was there something more sinister at play? A year later, in December 1980, tragedy struck again. Sonny was found unresponsive in her bathroom under chillingly peculiar circumstances. Her head rested under the toilet, her legs stretched toward the bathtub, and her nightgown was bunched up. A fur throw had been draped over her body, and the bathroom windows were inexplicably open, allowing the icy December air to chill the room. The scene seemed almost theatrical, as if staged to elicit confusion and obscure the truth. It was Claus who discovered her lifeless body, yet his reaction, or lack thereof, raised immediate suspicion. He calmly informed Alexander of Sonny's condition, showing little emotion even as medical personnel rushed to the scene. His demeanor, eerily detached, contrasted sharply with the gravity of the situation. Sonny's body was in a hypothermic state, with a dangerously low body temperature of 81 degrees Fahrenheit and a heart rate of just 31 beats per minute. Medical analysis later revealed that she had been in this condition for several hours before help was called. Her insulin levels, once again, were found to be alarmingly high. The details of the scene only deepened the mystery. The windows, open in the dead of winter, seemed to defy logic. The running sink and the staged appearance of Sonny's body added layers of suspicion. Medical experts concluded that Sonny's condition was not sudden, but the result of prolonged neglect, further contradicting Claus's timeline of events. For many, these two incidents were far too similar to be dismissed as mere coincidences. Both episodes, marked by unexplained insulin spikes and suspicious delays in seeking medical help, painted a troubling picture that pointed to something far darker than accidental misfortune. The glamorous facade of the von Bülow household, a world of lavish estates, designer gowns, and high society splendor, began to crumble under the weight of doubt, betrayal, and chilling suspicion. The public reaction was swift and intense. News of Sonny's comas dominated headlines, with tabloids and respected media outlets alike dissecting every detail of the case. High society, once enchanted by the couple's opulent lifestyle, was now abuzz with whispers of treachery and greed. Speculation swirled. Was Claus an innocent man caught in a tragic series of events, or a cold and calculating husband plotting to inherit his wife's immense fortune? Fans of Sunny, who had long admired her for her elegance and grace, were devastated. Many saw her as a victim of betrayal, a tragic figure whose wealth and beauty had brought her more pain than happiness. Letters poured into newspapers, with some readers expressing outrage at Claus's perceived lack of emotion, and others lamenting Sunny's plight as a woman seemingly trapped in a gilded cage. Social gatherings in Newport and Manhattan became forums for spirited debates, with opinions divided between those defending Claus and those condemning him. Even celebrities weighed in, with some publicly siding with Sunny's family and others offering support to Claus, questioning whether he had been unfairly vilified. The case became a cultural touchstone, a chilling reminder that wealth and privilege could not shield anyone from scandal or tragedy. For the public, the similarities between the two comas, occurring just a year apart under nearly identical circumstances, were impossible to ignore. To many, these eerie parallels transformed Sunny's story into more than a tragic accident. They suggested a deliberate and sinister pattern. As the evidence unfolded, the von Bülow name became synonymous not with sophistication and elegance, but with betrayal, mystery, and the haunting question: could someone so close to Sunny have orchestrated her suffering? As the events surrounding Sunny's second coma unfolded, Claus's behavior and the circumstances of her condition became the focus of intense scrutiny. Was this a series of unfortunate events, or was there a darker, more calculated motive behind these tragedies? The answers would remain shrouded in mystery, leaving the public captivated in the von Bülow saga forever etched in infamy. The legal saga of Claus von Bülow captivated the world, blending courtroom drama with high society scandal. Claus was accused of the unthinkable, attempting to murder his wife, Sunny von Bülow, by injecting her with insulin to expedite her death and secure her vast fortune. It was a case that exposed the secrets of privilege and betrayal, and one that would ultimately divide public opinion. The prosecution painted Claus as a calculating opportunist, motivated by greed and the allure of a $14 million inheritance. Central to their case was the discovery of a small black bag, retrieved from Claus's possessions, containing needles, insulin, and various drugs. This bag became the cornerstone of their argument, a physical embodiment of their claims that Claus had meticulously planned Sunny's demise. To bolster their case, medical experts testified that the dangerously high levels of insulin found in Sunny's system were unlikely to have been self-administered, particularly given her known hypoglycemia. In 1981, after a grueling trial filled with dramatic testimony and intense media scrutiny, Claus was convicted of attempted murder and sentenced to 30 years in prison. The conviction seemed to affirm the prosecution's narrative, casting Claus as the villain in a tragic tale of betrayal and greed. Yet, for all the courtroom victories, public opinion remained divided, with some questioning the reliability of the evidence and others convinced of Claus's guilt. Refusing to accept the verdict, Claus enlisted the help of Alan Dershowitz, a celebrity lawyer who would later gain notoriety for defending high-profile clients like O.J. Simpson and Jeffrey Epstein. Dershowitz approached the case with meticulous precision, focusing not on Claus's innocence but on the flaws in the trial itself. His strategy highlighted procedural missteps, including the mishandling of the black bag and the prosecution's failure to provide critical evidence to the defense. One of the key arguments raised during the appeal centered on the black bag. The defense argued that it had been improperly removed from Claus's home without a warrant, a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment. Moreover, the chain of custody for the bag was compromised. It had been handled by multiple people, rendering any potential fingerprints or evidence unreliable. These procedural errors cast doubt on the integrity of the investigation, weakening the prosecution's case. In 1985, Claus's conviction was overturned, and he was granted a retrial. This time, the infamous black bag and its contents were excluded as evidence, significantly altering the dynamics of the case. The defense argued that Sunny's comas were the result of a combination of her health issues, alcohol, and prescription drugs rather than insulin injections administered by Claus. After weeks of testimony, the jury found Claus not guilty. Despite his legal victory, Claus's acquittal did little to repair his tarnished reputation. Many still viewed him with suspicion, convinced that justice had not been served. The von Bülow case, with its blend of wealth, betrayal, and courtroom drama, remained a subject of public fascination long after the verdict was delivered. The trials exposed the fragility of the von Bülow facade, laying bare the darker undercurrents of their opulent lives. Claus's acquittal may have cleared his name in court, but the shadow of doubt lingered, ensuring that the case would forever be remembered as one of the most controversial legal battles in high society. By 1987, the legal battles surrounding Claus von Bülow reached a pivotal turning point. Faced with a $56 million civil lawsuit filed by Sunny von Bülow's children from her first marriage, Claus agreed to a settlement that reshaped his future. In a move designed to restore peace and safeguard the family's legacy, Claus renounced all claims to Sunny's vast fortune. He also agreed to divorce Sunny, relinquish the $120,000 annual trust fund she had established for him, and permanently leave the United States. This settlement brought a degree of closure for Sunny's children, particularly Princess Annie Laurie and Prince Alexander, who had been resolute in their belief that Claus bore responsibility for their mother's tragic fate. Claus's decision to settle, however, was not an admission of guilt. Instead, it was framed as an act of pragmatism, ensuring that his daughter with Sunny Cosima would not be disinherited. Cosima, who had stood by her father throughout the legal turmoil, was eventually reinstated as an heir to her grandmother's vast estate. With Cosima's support, Claus spent his later years far removed from the public eye. Residing in London, he lived comfortably but modestly, thanks to the wealth his daughter inherited. Their bond remained strong, and she ensured that her father's final years were spent in relative peace, surrounded by family. Claus von Bülow passed away in 2019 at the age of 92, leaving behind a legacy defined as much by controversy as by privilege. Sunny von Bülow's 28 years in a coma stand as one of the most haunting chapters in the annals of high society, a stark and tragic contrast to the dazzling life she once led. For nearly 3 decades, she lay silent, trapped in a state of suspended existence, while the world outside continued to speculate about the circumstances that led her there. Her caregivers, devoted to preserving her dignity, tended to her with extraordinary care. Her hair was styled regularly, and her nails were manicured to perfection, maintaining the illusion of the elegance Sunny had once embodied. It was as if the rituals of her glamorous past were being preserved in a silent homage, even though she was no longer able to participate in the world that had once adored her. The public's reaction to Sunny's prolonged state of unconsciousness was one of profound sadness and lingering fascination. To her admirers, she was more than just a socialite. She was a symbol of grace, beauty, and the glittering promise of a charmed life. News of her condition elicited an outpouring of sympathy from fans, who sent letters and flowers to her family, expressing their sorrow and hopes for her recovery. The media, ever eager for updates, turned Sunny's coma into a spectacle, with headlines often referring to her as the Sleeping Beauty of Newport. Periodic reports about her condition kept her story alive, ensuring that the mystery surrounding her life and the events leading to her coma remained in the public consciousness. Documentaries and retrospectives chronicled her life, juxtaposing images of her radiant youth with the stark reality of her later years. These portrayals were both a celebration of her former vitality and a chilling reminder of how far she had fallen from the vibrant woman she once was. Sunny's death in 2008, at the age of 76, marked the end of an era. Her passing closed a chapter that had been fraught with unanswered questions, lingering doubts, and unfulfilled hopes. The news was met with a mix of emotions: sorrow for the loss of a life that had been so tragically cut short in its prime, and relief that her decades-long ordeal had finally come to an end. As tributes poured in, many reflected on the paradox of her existence. A woman who had lived among unimaginable privilege, only to endure unimaginable suffering. High society gatherings and online forums became hotbeds of discussion, with some lamenting the loss of a woman who had once been the epitome of elegance, and others reigniting debates about the controversies that had overshadowed her life. The von Bülow saga remains one of the most compelling tales of wealth and intrigue, a narrative that continues to captivate the public's imagination. Claus's acquittal, while legally exonerating him, did little to quell the lingering doubts and speculation. The unanswered questions surrounding Sunny's death cast a shadow over the family's legacy, ensuring the story would remain a source of fascination and debate for decades. Was Sunny's fate a tragic accident caused by her declining health and self-destructive habits, or was it the result of a calculated plan by a husband who stood to gain millions from her death? Despite the court's rulings, the public remains divided, with many seeing Claus as a symbol of privilege, shielding a man from accountability. Their story offers a chilling glimpse into the darker side of wealth and power, a world where love and betrayal often intertwine, and the pursuit of fortune can lead to devastating consequences. The von Bülow case has transcended its time, becoming a cultural touchstone that explores themes of morality, greed, and the fragility of human relationships. The unanswered questions left in their wake continue to linger, ensuring their story remains etched in the annals of history as a mystery without resolution. Her tragic end left behind a legacy of unanswered questions, suspicion, and heartbreak. Was Claus von Bülow guilty, or was he the victim of a sensationalized witch hunt? We'd love to hear your thoughts. What's your verdict? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Stay tuned for more gripping tales of mystery and intrigue.